Hello everyone, Justin with Mycelium Mark here. Today I'm going to be doing a video to show you guys how you can prepare your own grain spawn. Grain spawn is sterilized grain that has been inoculated with mushroom mycelium. Now there's many different types of grain you can use to do so. You can use wheat berries, millet, oats, corn, barley, but in today's video I'm going to be using rye berry grain. Although there's many different types of grain you can use, you will get very similar results using any of these. Now I usually order my grain in bulk. I get about 50 pounds for $75 off of Amazon. I'm sure there's better deals out there, but I can link this in the description. So I usually start with a 5-gallon pail. For the sake of the video, I'm just going to make about 4 to 5 5-pound bags of grain. I usually start by filling it right under halfway. So, and then now we will need access to water, so I'll see you over there. Alright, so we got our bucket of grain here. As you can see, as you dump these into the bucket, you will see a lot of dust, sort of film. This is just some natural residues. It's always a good practice to rinse this out thoroughly. I usually just use hot tap water. As so. Tend to fill the bucket up a couple times, mix it around. As you can see, the water is pretty dirty from all that extra natural residue in there. So we'll just want to rinse and drain and repeat a couple times. I usually do this about 4 times. Do this about 4 times. Next. And repeat. Okay, now that we have our grain cleaned, as you can see the water is no longer dusty. We're just going to let this soak for about 12 hours. 12 hours is sufficient. If you have things going on, you can leave it up to 24 hours. Main rule of thumb is you won't want to go over 24 hours or else there will be a higher chance for contamination. We are hydrating our seed, so you're going to want to make sure that you have just a couple inches over the top layer of the grain because this will soak up and you want it to all hydrate evenly. We will see you guys tomorrow when our grain is hydrated. So here we are, back with our hydrated grain. We're just going to want to drain the water from the grain. As you can see, the grains are about double the size they used to be. The next step to the process is now to dry the seeds properly before we can bag them and sterilize. So now that we have our grains hydrated, we're just going to want to dry them out. You're not going to want to dry them too much, and you're not going to want them to be too moist either, because that will lead for contamination in the future. So what I like to do to dry them out, I spread them across the towel evenly. This will take about 2 to 3 hours. You can come move your grain around, shift it around, but you'll just want it to be dried out. I'll also be showing you guys how to test the grain when the time comes. for the correct dryness. But yeah, I'll see you guys in 3 hours. So we're back after about 2.5 hours. I'm going to show you guys how you can test your grain for the correct moisture content. You just want to take a napkin, take a small amount of grain, just want to set it on the napkin. Basically what you want to see is the slightest damp imprints from your grain. Anything more, anything dripping, probably too moist. Anything too little, no signs of imprint, then probably too dry. This grain is about perfect. Now it is time to bag them up and get them ready for the autoclave. Not the most ideal process for getting the grain back in the strainer, but it'll suffice. Now it is time to bag our grain spawn up and get it ready to run through the autoclave. There is a method that you don't need an autoclave for, and I will be showing you that later in the video. Now, if you're using bags to bag up your grain spawn, I'd say the ideal weight is 3 to 5 pound bags. Like I said earlier in the video, I'm going to be doing 5 pound bags. I have a scale here to weigh out my bags. These are special bags for mushroom growing specifically. They have a micron filter patch on them. Now I'd say for grain spawn you're going to want a 0.2 to a 0.5 micron patch. That is just ideal for being able to breathe, exchange air without allowing for the grain spawn to contaminate. Now you can do less. There's methods to do grain spawn in mason jars, and that would be if you're doing 1 to 2. You can use bigger mason jars and even do 3 pounds, but I'd say once you get to 3 pounds, bags are more ideal. So now that we have our grain spawn weighed out into the ideal weight, I'll show you guys the best way to fold these bags. I like to do a gusset fold, and it's a little tedious at first, but I just want to fold in both sides of the bag down the center as so. You'll want to do this to both sides. You want to work your way down all the way to the grain spawn, kind of folding it in as so. I always fold the micron patch in towards the bag to protect it during the sterilization process. Like so. Now the reason for the gusset fold is it allows for a more even sterilization process as well as better gas exchange. I will also be showing you guys how to load these into your autoclave. So, today I'm using a 25 quart fully automated autoclave from Midwest Grow Kits. A little pricey, but if it's in your budget, I highly recommend. This is a very great product. Now, this autoclave comes with an insert that I will be removing today for the sake of my grain spawn bags. Temporarily take out this piece. And then I brought a big pail of water because I didn't want to take 2 trips. But there's a fill line in here, and I'm just going to fill it until it's to the line. Boom, at the line. We will put this right back in. And then we'll just tuck these right on in. I'll give you guys a closer view of how this should look. Should be packed nice and neat in here, as so. And I'm actually doing a small amount for what I can fit, but this can usually fit about 8 to 9, I mean maybe 10 bags if you squeeze it. But kind of just depends what you're working with. So from that point, we will put our lid back on. Tighten this so that our top safely latches. And we will run this at about 15 psi for about an hour and a half. If you want to be safe and make sure it's fully sterilized, you can run it for 2 hours. These are very nice and simple for Midwest grow kits. This is where the automation comes in. You can set the temp to reach your desired pressure, as well as being able to set the time, but it's already set to the ideal conditions I need. Boom, we'll just click enter and our autoclave is heating up. Timer will not start going down until it reaches the desired temperature that you selected. So one thing I forgot to mention earlier but wanted to point out is that you should always leave your air escape valve open until it is whistling and blowing steam out. The reason you want to do this is because you want no excess air left over inside your autoclave as you start your sterilization process. The reason for this is because this could lead to cold spots and an uneven sterilization, as well as an extra condensation buildup could ruin your drain spawn. Once your autoclave is blowing steam out, you can flip your air escape valve down and you'll be on your way to getting the necessary PSI for correct sterilization. So now that your autoclave is finished running, your sterilization process is complete. Before you open the autoclave and remove your bags, I would wait 1 to 3 hours for your autoclave to naturally release the pressure that's built up and for it to cool down. If you open the air escape valve too early, then this could release the pressure too quick, causing a blowout in your bags and ruining your drain. We'll remove our bags. Now your bags will be already pretty airtight from the sterilization process. The next thing you'll want to do is seal these bags shut with your impulse sealer. Now I can link this in the description. I got mine off of Amazon. In here. Now you don't want your impulse sealer too hot or it will melt your bag, and you don't want it too cool or it won't properly seal shut. I run mine at a setting of right about 5, and that seems to do just fine for the bags that I have. Seal it like so. And now your bag is entirely sealed. Again, now that my bags are sealed, I'll see you back in the lab and I'll show you how to inoculate these bags and add your self-healing injection port. Now, for those of you that do not have an autoclave, I wanted to show you a quick and easy method on how you can sterilize your grain. Bring it to a slight boil, occasionally stirring, for about 10 to 15 minutes. Now, you'll know your grain's ready when you can take one, slightly put your nail into it. You don't want it to mush, but you want it to leave a slight indent, as so. I've had mine boiling for roughly 10 minutes. For the sake of the video, I started it at the end of the boiling process. And then same process, you're just going to want to strain your grain out and then towel dry it. Now, you'll want to dry it exactly as I did earlier in the video. You'll still want to run the napkin test to test your dryness of your grain. And then you will do the same process. You'll bag it up right after and seal it. And that will basically be that. Now, I do have a website as well. If you don't want to go through the process of creating your own grain for grain spawn, I sell a grain spawn directly through myceliumwork.com. I'll link that in the description as well. So here we are in the lab. I'm going to show you guys how to add your own self-healing injection port to your bag of grain so that you can then inoculate it with liquid culture, genetic, of any kind you want. It's a good rule of thumb to always spray your work area down with isopropyl. I use 70%. And then I'm going to throw some gloves on. Now, there's actually a method that you can cut a slight hole in your grain bag and add your self-healing injection port. You'll find videos of this out there. You'll just need a light heat source to be able to carefully melt the plastic back around the self-healing injection port. I'm actually going to show you guys an easier way of doing this. We have our bags of grain here. I'm going to give the area I'm working with a spray as well as my hands. Now, you can find self-healing injection ports just about anywhere. You can find them on Amazon or basically any reputable source. I like going through Northspore. I love their products. They give great products. Now, we'll actually take one of our injection ports. They're a bit adhesive as is, so I'm actually going to take it and just press with a decent amount of pressure, but not too much to puncture the bag, just for about 5 to 10 seconds, whatever you feel safe with. If you don't feel safe with simply using pressure, you can have a sterilized piece of tape to put over the self-healing injection port. Today I'm using a blue oyster liquid culture, and I will now show you how to inoculate these grain bags. You're going to want a flame source. I have myself an alcohol lamp. That's actually for the needle. You will heat the needle up until it's glowing orange to sterilize. As a precaution, I always squirt just a little tiny bit out just to get any leftover contaminant, if there was any, in the tip of the needle. And then I'll carefully inject this through the self-healing injection port as so. And you definitely do not need the whole liquid culture syringe. You can actually inoculate multiple bags with this. I'm going to stick that through. I usually do about 2 to 3 cc's of a syringe, and you usually get about 10 in each syringe. So I did my 2, take the needle out, and that is that for inoculating your grain bag. Now in about 2 to 3 weeks, depending on genetic, 2 to 4 actually, you will get a fully colonized grain bag as so. And this will be your spawn that you can then transfer into a substrate block. Now after you've inoculated your grains, you can actually save your leftover syringe of your liquid culture. You'll carefully remove the needle, and you save the black piece that you had before, tighten it on, and store it back in the fridge for safekeeping. But that'll do it for today's video, guys. If you found this video informative, you learned a thing or two, please feel free to leave a like, subscribe to continue following my content. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I will definitely get back to you on them. Thank you.